call this March 4th, 2025 Reorganization Committee to order. 6 o'clock. Would everybody stand and we'll pray and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you even for the rain. Where it says, make the rain fall on the just and the unjust. You just take it for granted it's going to happen, and you know what you're doing. We ask that you'd be here with us as in the lead, guide, and direct as we try to get through this and decide let the citizenry decide what's best. And we ask all this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Andrew Henry, present. William Ellis, present. Kevin Ferris,
present.
Dawn Durnall, present. Jerry Sanders is absent, and we have an electronic policy for members who may be zooming in, correct? Will we vote on that after roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
And with that, actually, I just got an email that Scott Reynolds is in the UK and not able to log in to Zoom. Do you know if it's region restricted, or is there a different link than last week?
Every link is going to be different.
Okay. No problem. So I'll send him the new link.
It's not, I haven't restricted it
Okay.
regionally.
Yeah, the UK should be able to.
Where could I find that link?
On the website.
Okay.
I'm going to go
All right.
ahead
I'll work on that and
start.
Okay.
Let's start the meeting with, has anybody got anything they'd wish to say or contribute? If not, we're going to ask the subcommittees to present.
Do you want to do the electronic meeting policy first?
We have agenda, we have meeting minutes to approve and an electronic
Okay, let's
policy
do
to
that
adopt.
then. Approval of the minutes for February 18th, 2026, Reorganization Committee meeting.
So moved.
Look, why don't we do it this way? Anybody opposed, raise your hand. Everybody not opposed, raise your hand.
Okay.
So passes. Now public comment. Oh, where's the electronic? Want to do that first?
Yes, please.
Electronic meeting policy?
So I drafted a policy and sent it out, I think, on Monday. And this mirrors what the Plan Commission and the Town Council have in place, but it allows board members to participate electronically under certain conditions. And
Participate.
yes, so.
So anybody want to make a motion? Do we accept that policy?
I'll make a motion to accept the electronic meeting policy.
I will second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
I.
Aye.
All opposed? So
Okay.
passes.
Passes unanimous.
Now, public comment. Anybody want to say anything? If you'd just write your name and state it.
Thanks my name is Phil Shanoff, and we live over on Limestone Drive, my wife and I, Terry. We were here at the February 4th meeting, and it was, by the time everybody had spoken, it was pretty informative. We didn't make the last one, which was the 18th, I think. And, yeah, February 4th, that's right. But since that time, we've had a chance to digest some of what we heard and learned and spoke with folks. And I'm going to kind of read this just because I'm not very good at this, but after listening to the presentation and the panel, actually the committee, it seems like most of this got started. If I'm saying things you already know, if you just be patient with me, it won't take long. It seems like that the thing kind of got started when Ellettsville's longstanding fire protection arrangement, where the fire department, Ellettsville Fire Department, historically provided fire protection for both Richland and Bean Blossom townships, and Ellettsville town, of course. And what it sounded though is though that the Ellettsville Fire Department made a large capital investment in a new fire truck, among other things, based on the fire territory as they knew it at the time. And additionally, for whatever reason, Monroe County Commissioners in Ellettsville town are not continuing this fire protection agreement, as I understand it. I'm not intimate with it, but I do live here and try to pay attention to what's going on. Basically leaving Ellettsville town with debt. I guess a question is, if or can Ellettsville town government and Monroe County government get together and agree upon a fire protection territory that satisfies Ellettsville's fire department debt while continuing to provide fire protection services for both townships, Bean Blossom and Richland, and the town. And if there's any intention of a working agreement, perhaps a third-party arbitrator might be useful. I say that. Again, I'm not privileged to all of what you already know, so I have to just extract this from what I know. The other problem that we saw, my wife and I, with the Reorg Committee, it indicates there's a problem with the county planning and zoning. And as I take it, the Reorg panel thinks that Monroe County planning and zoning is just a little too slow for their purposes because they just can't get things done that in a timely manner as they see it. They being Richland Township and Ellettsville Town. Currently the county has multiple in-place services for both Richland and Bean Blossom Townships. The county I'm talking about, county government, including planning and zoning, along with the master plan for the entire county. Our concern is, other than the planning and zoning, there are other important county services already in place and operating and paid for under current county taxation. I guess the question is, what happens to the sheriff protection that we have, road maintenance and repair, snow removal, waste recycling, stormwater management, and that includes culverts and bridges, if this reorganization occurs? I mean, Monroe County, I know ostensibly it might not seem like they do much, but if you don't have them, you might look a little different. So I just ask that you consider this. Will it become the responsibility of Ellettsville or Richland, the new governmental entity, I guess you'd call it? Ellettsville, if I was looking at the maps, and consists of about 20% of Richland Township, roughly 3,800 acres, round numbers, while the remaining of Richland Township consists of 30 square miles, which is about 19,000 acres. It's a lot of land, which is currently being served by the county. I guess the problems that we see, if the merger occurs, will the Ellettsville town have to provide all the services already provided by Monroe County as currently taxed and paid for by the county? Now, Ellettsville could always, or Richland Township, whatever this entity is newly referred to, hires more people and buys more equipment to provide duplicate services no longer available by the county. Ellettsville and Richland Township residents and business taxes will go up, and certainly a lot more than 8 cents per hundred. because it's new debt. You know, we're not opposed to incremental growth. I don't want to be misunderstood here. And I understand what the committee's trying to do, and I'm open. But you know, we're not opposed to incremental growth that consists of impartial planning and zoning. And I kind of mean that, impartial planning and zoning, which means you're looking at the whole picture. And for example, you know, this keeps the special interest in the side deals from occurring and protecting residents and businesses. I mean, you buy a piece of land as a resident, you know, you're there. I mean, and if you buy a piece of land as a business, you know, you may or may not be there, but you got to live with it. You got to live with it as a resident. So I'm really thinking more of a resident. Again, we're not opposed to uncontrolled. We are opposed to uncontrolled growth. There's only one example I can cite off the top here. My wife and I were driving eastbound towards Bloomington, and if I'm wrong about this, please someone correct me. But you know, across from Arby's on the northeast side of State Road 46, there's an area that was cleared and denuded of all vegetation. Also, we noted a new high-rise building that was going up on adjoining property just on the opposite side of that, to the north and east of that again. And this consisted primarily of single-family dwelling units. So here you got a single-family dwelling units, and you got high-rises going up right next to it, and we didn't see any green space in between. And I didn't investigate close, but I didn't see really any drainage control, but I'm sure there was probably some there. So these are the things that we observed. I guess I'd like to just, I think the county probably does more than anybody really knows, and I'm not saying that they're not, can be a pain sometimes, but they do, you know, we got to be part of some county, and this is our county. So I think if there's a way that to work together and get what you need out of it, and even the flexibility that folks want around here, I think would be useful. That's all I got. So.
Yes.
Any question?
Yeah,
Sure. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Just a couple things.
Yeah, sure.
With the fire situation,
Yeah.
that actually came up after we started this. The reason we decided to pursue reorganization was the state has talked about streamlining government, duplication of services, and there was some from the township and the town. Richland Township and Ellettsville has a 79-year history with fire protection. So that was a good blueprint for us. We were already kind of married, you know, there. And the county decided, while we're in the middle of pursuing this process, to take that away from us. They gave the intention that they wanted to do a fire district, which is different than a fire territory. Right now, we just have a contract. And what that would do, when you're worried about increased taxes, with this plan, your taxes, it would increase taxes a lot more than what it would for than reorganization if they did a fire district, because they'd have to build a station, they would have to build buy equipment, because right now Ellettsville owns that.
Same thing with the other services.
Well, yes, and
roads.
well, yeah,
area.
and
Okay.
all of us. We have these subcommittees because they're addressing those particular things. The nice thing with
Good.
roads, as an example, a lot of the road funding will just shift from the county to go to the town. So it's not like we're going to have to spend a bunch more.
It's your tax money that pays.
But they have the equipment, the county has the equipment already in place, so I mean, you know, I'm not being argumentative, but I am being
No, you're
devil's
not,
advocate.
not at all.
Yeah.
No, and no, I get that. But an example, during this winter, there was, I can't remember the name of the cul-de-sac. The county decided, since the road was built 20 years ago, not to their standards, and the developer, who is either out of business or not responsive, they're no longer going to plow that neighborhood. It's little things like that that we want to get away from.
Had Ellettsville been plowing it up until that time?
No, this is the
Well-
no, I'm not talking, the county, this is in Richland Township. No one's been plowing it. That's just it. We're not gonna let technicalities like that hurt our residents just because the developer. That's something that should have been addressed with the developer bond.
True.
But I'm talking about the mentality like that. When you come to
Is it
planning.
HOA, that type of thing?
No.
It's not even that?
No,
Okay, go ahead.
they had said that the road wasn't met to specs, so they're not doing anything with it. And that was a developer issue, but from what I understand and all the investigations, that's a 20-year ago issue they've been fighting. That's why you have developer bonds. You go in there, take the bond and fix it. You don't make the residents pay for those mistakes. When it comes to planning and zoning, it's not so much that they're lax or too strict. That's part of it. Because it's like if you had 100 acres and you wanted to subdivide that 3 ways to your family, you could not. Or you'd have to wait, is it 25 or 50 years to subdivide it again? Something like that? I'm not.
If you've got an existing tract, you can subdivide it once.
Right. And
Go ahead.
once. It's your land.
And then there's a time, but I don't know what that time is.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
It's
ahead.
either 25 or 50 years.
Right.
So things like that, there's no rationale behind doing that. And
Well, there is, to some extent.
Right.
But just because I don't really understand it at this point, doesn't mean that we as a collective body
Right.
shouldn't understand it.
no,
before
but
we go forward.
I can tell you who should understand it, and that's the property owners. When the people want to sell their property or do something with it, they should be ultimately the ones that make the decisions, not some government body that tells them what to do with their
To a point.
resources.
To a point,
right.
Because that's why you have planning and zoning, because
Right.
you've got 13,000 people in this township, okay? And that's about 2 people per acre. And you have a lot of people living next to each other. And I have no control over what a business does next to me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-business, but it has to be considered what they're gonna be doing and what that's gonna do to
and-
that.
Yes, and it absolutely,
Right.
in our current UDO, it
Okay.
absolutely is.
Okay.
And in the plan that we're talking about, if it's currently agricultural, unless that person wants to rezone it, I don't know the particulars, but we're gonna have 2 different, a rural and, we'll hear the presentation or talk about it tonight, a rural and an urban area. So those things
Are you
that you
gonna
talked
honor
about.
are you gonna honor the existing county, some parts of the existing county zoning and planning? That's my question.
Oh, I'm sure we would, because some of it doesn't really conflict
Just
with
haven't.
what we, yeah.
Because the western part of the township is one of the best land in the county, without a doubt. And I don't know, we moved here 47 years ago, and, part of the reason we moved here was because we liked the area.
Right.
And I was commuting the whole time. And the thing is that we just liked the area. And people lived here and worked here, Bloomington, Crane, and all that. So it was a choice.
Right.
So I would hate for that choice to be, there's other people that I know feel similar to me. Again, I don't want to step on what you're trying to do, but I just want to thaw it out.
No,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
are real concerns, and this process is, that we're doing this, is to think up, so we make sure those things are addressed. And it's not that this happens and then we say, what do? We don't want that to happen. And you're
Right.
the county does a ton. And we, like on the parks, we're still gonna work with the county on that.
I forgot about the parks, but you're
Yeah.
right. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
the
a fine
county.
park over there,
Yeah, the
Flatwoods.
county is still gonna handle those parks. We're working that out. We've met with county streets to see what we can do. Sheriff protection, since the sheriff they're still gonna respond to calls when it comes to Richland, because they're still part of Monroe County.
Make us not a part of Monroe County.
But this plan will get 3 more
Well,
officers.
that's part of the point, but I don't know how, I guess what I hate to see is, I hate to see an adversarial relationship between Ellettsville or Richland government and the county government. That's something you don't want to have.
We hate to see it too, and
It comes and
it's-
goes because people get elected.
Right, and what we want to make sure is we're protecting Richland Township residents and Town of Ellettsville residents under this new thing from those frictions, because, government bodies are going to have disagreements, but you should not get caught in the crossfire. and we're trying to make sure that does not happen. And Ellettsville has been, when you talk about the growth and that we have had a record number, I'd say in the last 5 to 10 years, of voluntary annexations where people say, I want to come into Ellettsville because we want to get away from taking 2 years to go through the planning commission. And
There's no sort of shortage of growth that I can see from,
no, but there is.
I'm just
No,
saying.
there is in Richland Township. In Ellettsville, no. It's like a tale of two cities. A matter of fact, the growth in Monroe County has been driven by the growth in Ellettsville. So
you're talking about the southeast part of the county, mainly towards, with the old GE, because that's part of the township.
right, yes. I mean, look how long that's taken to get going. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, I mean, that's a big job.
it is, but I always use this as an example. Harmon Farms, from the moment it got annexed into, they're going to have a house available this April. And the developer said that would not happen under the county. There's no way.
That house is available now.
Yeah, they're for sale, but I'm talking about as in they can move in April. Because what we understand is that there's a housing shortage in Monroe County, in the country. And part of that housing shortage is not telling people you can't sell your land and build homes. Part of that housing shortage alleviation, especially for jobs, if we want people to have high-paying jobs here, we have to have housing for it. Doesn't mean you're going to see a ton of apartments or anything like that. It's going to be planned. It's going to be at the benefit of the community. It's not just going to be a bunch of sprawl. I don't think any of us envision that. But it comes to a point in time where there's some issues that have to be addressed in Monroe County. And
I
we'll
tell you
step
what
up
I'd hate
do
to
it.
see is, along those lines, is they would drive up Ronald Reagan and look at all the distribution houses or units. Those things are huge. It's just like Key, only bigger. And there's probably, from that stretch from Interstate 70 all the way up to the 600 road, which is right up before you get to Brownsburg, there must be 25 of them. And they're just huge. And they just, they just take over. They just take over the area.
When we're looking to do-
that's business, but, there's been an awful lot of building with that stuff, and I'm not
understand.
sure how sustained that's gonna be either. There's limits to all.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you hear the plan and don't like the plan, the nice thing about this is it won't be forced on you. You can always vote no. So
Yeah, well, I've rambled enough.
that's okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks for your comment.
If I may, I can
Oh,
ask you
yeah.
a couple of questions.
Jeff, sorry, Jeff.
Okay, well, first of all,
Mike, I said Jeff, I meant Mike.
I'll take the
All
offense.
right,
So we have talked to the county highway.
that's good to know.
And so we went through the process and what we're trying to do. And so it's a bit complex because one thing leads to another, and there are several other things related that you take into account. So when it comes to the roads, though, it's pretty simple. We will take on another 80 or 90 miles of road. It's true. And when we talked to the county about it, they, weren't exactly happy that we might be doing this, but at the end of the day, they said, well, because we talked about maybe even allowing the revenue to stream to them sometime into the future and work out a detail where as they, through attrition, grow down a little, we could grow up and maybe work together.
I mean, their contribution to the maintenance and repair.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, they said we have 788 miles of road after that, and they had plenty to do, and they're always needing more help. And they thought the best way to go about it is to just let it switch and let the revenue follow whoever's going to take care of it. And so we went through the process. We constantly are working with the county as roads change, who owns them or who's responsible for them. We work out details so that we're efficient about who's plowing the road. And so I live in a county too, so.
You're up in Bean Blossom, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Bean Blossom, but you're right, the county does a really good job, and we acknowledge that. But we have talked to them, we've talked to the sheriff about police protection. and we're assured that, you know, the Ellettsville is in the county, and as they go about their business now, protecting us all, that's not going to change. And so some of these things have been talked about and worked out. And to William's point, the town is growing, and it's annexing all around where you live. And as it grows, decisions are made, and as a person that is adjacent to that growth, you have no say what goes on in Ellettsville. And one of the, I think, positives about this, we all know the town's going to keep growing. People that want to do things with their land and be able to do it and make money on it and not have to wait to develop it or whatever they want to do with it, divide it up amongst their family, they annex into Ellettsville. And so the growth is going to be there. One of the things for you is, if you are part of the reorganization, you will have representation in the future. There's so many people that don't even realize they're either in or outside of the town, especially as close proximity as you are, where you live. And so as we move forward, if you want a positive, the positive would be you would have a say in how things go in the future. So some of those concerns you have as a Richland Township person, now you just have to watch the growth around you and have no say voting wise. I mean, we take in consideration neighbors even if they're not in Ellettsville, but that's one of the main components of this that has what I think is a positive. So anyway.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm glad. The one thing I heard, I'm glad you spoke with the roads people, because it's a big item. I mean, I didn't realize.
We talked to parks, we talked to everybody,
Yeah.
and so we have reached out.
Yeah, I'm happy with Monroe County roads. I mean, it's not
should be.
perfect, but nothing is.
You should be.
Yeah.
So Phil, for this meeting, we have a whole bunch of subcommittee reports, and these are all available, unedited, straight from the subcommittees, all on our website. You can see exactly what they've written up.
Okay.
About parks, rec, roads, everything, because we want to talk to every agency, every department we're going to be working with and get the real detailed information of exactly what reorganization would mean. And that's a lot of what tonight's meeting is going to be about, is about the details in those plans. So a lot of your questions are going to be addressed directly.
I think I've used enough time. Unless
Thank you,
somebody
Phil.
else has got something else.
No problem.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Phil.
Anybody else? Okay, then let's move on and let's start the subcommittee reports. Would anybody like to volunteer? Be number one. Sandy Hash, step on up.
Yeah, and I wanted to start off for the people here to tell them that if you go to the Ellettsville website and just type in the search reports, all of our reports are right there together, all the subcommittee reports. You just click on them and you can see them.
It's actually, Sandy, it's actually easier. We've got it on the website for the reorganization.
Well,
So-
I couldn't remember that.
No, I'm just saying, so we've got them both, so no matter which way they go.
Okay. Now, you have our subcommittee report, and I hope you've all had time to review it. And I don't know how much you want me to say, or if you want me to field questions.
Why don't you give us a general overview of it for everybody that's not seen it, and for everybody that's gonna be watching this tomorrow or the day after on Cats, or
Okay.
they're looking at it. You don't have to read the whole thing per se, but give a general overview
Okay.
and what you think are the high points.
Well, I
Different
might read the paragraph on the findings,
There you go, you go ahead.
and I might shake a little because I'm a little nervous, so if my voice shakes it, just bear with me. This plan anticipates that the property tax rates for the police, cumulative fire building and equipment, cumulative capital development, and the existing debt service will be applied exclusively to the properties within the current boundaries of the town of Ellettsville. Conversely, tax rates for the town administration, park recreation, and fire will be levied across all properties in the consolidated area. The township assistance tax rate will apply to the properties situated in Richland, in Ellettsville, Richland, and Richland. Taxing districts will, rate is allocated to those properties. Funding for other services will primarily derive from local income tax, service charges, wheel tax, and gas revenues. Okay, now I'm going to try to do my chart. I am so shaken, I can't believe it. Okay, on the page 2, at the top of the page, it just reiterates what I just read, that the police, fire cumulative capital, and the debt service will all remain in the urban town, current town. And the general fund administration, planning, fire, park and rec, street maintenance, and not street maintenance, township assistance will all be in the whole consolidated area. So we have a section there that tells the increases from the 26 budget at the bottom of the page, and the additions for the new budget. And it is an increase, but the total budget for 26 is $8,433,232, and that includes the township's budget. And it'll go up to $11,326,182. Then on page 3, we talk about the tax rates, how they'll be increased, and there's actually dollar amounts assigned to it, maybe. But when you compare between the 26 certified property tax levies and rates with the projections after the reorganization, the impact on the property tax bills is expected to be 6.9% for Richland Township, 4.1% for Ellettsville-Richland, 3.4% for Ellettsville-Bean Blossom. And I think the difference in that is they have their own township tax, so that we aren't involved with them on the township part in Bean Blossom. A $300,000 home in Richland Township is expected to see a $173 tax increase, while the same value home in Ellettsville will not really have any change because in Ellettsville, the tax rate is substantially higher than the tax rate in the county. So the people in Ellettsville will hit the circuit breakers at $300,000, so they won't see any increase in taxes. It'll be dispersed among the properties that don't hit the circuit breaker. And if you hit the circuit breaker, that revenue's just lost. There's no way to make it up later. Okay, so the tax rate currently for the town proper is 0.6160, and it will increase to 0.7023, which is about 0.054, I think, difference. And then the property tax for the township is currently 0.1644, and it'll increase to 0.2780. And I also asked Baker Tilly to, I guess I should talk about the conclusion. Reorganization gives the town several cost control tools, such as structured service expansion, a broader tax base, coordinated planning for land use and economic growth, community cohesion, protection of township fire services from county takeover, and a differential to annexation by other municipalities. The single budget process also simplifies and makes financial matters more transparent for the taxpayers. The Finance Subcommittee has determined that the proposed merger presents long-term financial advantages contingent upon a carefully managed and transparent transition process. We advise proceeding with the merger in accordance with the specified financial plan and ongoing oversight mechanisms. So I asked Baker Tilly to make a comparison chart because the three things that are on the line is the possibility that the township could be taken by the county and put in the fire district. It's a possibility. So we wanted to look at that, how that would affect the tax base. Did you guys get this little comparison chart? It just came to us yesterday, so.
I have not seen it.
I'll make sure that it goes in the drive and that you get a copy of it.
Thank you, Noel.
Well, would,
You'll make a print.
please, make at least them a copy and a few extras maybe. So maybe we should talk questions while she's making copies. It'd be easier for you if you have a copy of this.
Does anybody have any comments on the board?
Well, if you want to read through that chart, just to tell the people, like what a $200,000 to $300,000 home.
On this chart, I
Yeah.
want to go back to our report too. I omitted the police, the street department in the merger, what? Reorganized plan. I know merger's not the N word. The street department would be fully funded with wheel tax and the MVH revenues and, gas tax and all that. So there will be no tax rate for the street department. So they can serve Ellettsville and the outskirt area. And with that additional road mileage, then we'll collect more money and it'll cover the expense of the street department. So that's good to know. That's a neutral effect. Okay, now, William, what did you want me to do?
Let the public know kind of different scenarios on the chart, like a tax in the Richland Township, what a $200,000 homestead property, approximately their taxes from one year to the next would
Okay.
increase.
Is that what you used, 200,000 or was it
Well-
300,000?
Well, 300,000.
300,000.
We have both.
Yeah. So just read to just the dollars.
Just the dollars
Yeah,
and cents, that'd be
the difference
easiest to
from
follow.
one year to the next with the reorganization, fire territory, and fire district.
Okay. So with the reorganization, the,
Can you pull that back up on the screen?
It's not on the screen.
Yeah, that's,
th-
We
this
just
one
got
she
it.
didn't have loaded.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is my little summary short sheet, and we just got it yesterday finalized.
I'm sorry.
She went to make a few copies.
and hot off the press for everybody.
That's fine. I was
Okay, so our three choices are the reorganization.
Let's just start there.
Well, I want to say the three choices.
Okay.
And the fire territory, and then Monroe District Fire. So, if the district would take us over for fire protection, it won't affect the town of Ellettsville's rate because it would just be the township. And, let's see. The cost for a $200,000 property in Richland Township let's see, I got to figure out my chart here, would be, they didn't give us a dollar rate for the
They did.
district, did they?
Yeah, it's the very last column, change from baseline.
Okay.
Do you see it?
We used to have that old projector here that you could lay a paper down and everybody could see it, but
Sandy, did you find it?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. So, with the reorganization, a $200,000 house in Richland Township would increase by $105 a year. With a $300,000 house would increase by $173 a year.
Right here. Great comments.
Okay, 200.
Then with the fire territory, a $200,000 house would go up by 120, and a 300 would go by 198, increase by 198. and then with the fire district, which is our most expensive choice. And we don't know exactly what it would cost for Richland, so we used what the rate they gave for Bean Blossom. And that would increase a $200,000 home in Richland Township by $332 and a $300,000 home by $494. So why I asked for this chart, I wanted an easy reference for you to see the difference of the three plans. So you can see the reorganization is by far the cheapest plan in Richland Township. For the town of Ellettsville.
Sandy, could you
Yes.
hold on 1 second?
Yes, sir.
It's people, it's super distracting, especially up here for everybody that's talking in the public. Everybody's gonna have their chance to talk, but for the sake of everybody on the board and the other people in the audience, and especially whoever's at the podium speaking, if you wanna talk, that's fine. Could you go to the back and talk, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So
Okay.
for in town, for the reorganization, a $200,000 home would increase by $72, and for a $300,000, it would hit the circuit breaker, so there'd be no increase. On the fire territory, for a $200,000, it would be a $72 increase, and for the a $300,000, zero. For the district in town, it would be a $72 increase for the $200,000 home, and again, a zero increase for the $300,000 home.
It's not right because.
Ellettsville can't be pulled into the district.
Right, yeah, I think that,
Involved.
I'm sorry, yeah, I think you're right, that's a mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's zero.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, you're right, that should be zero. The district can't take the town. I'm sorry about that. That was on the chart and I just read
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I
Hey,
didn't
no
catch
problem.
that.
Yeah,
So
that's fine.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
On your point that Richland Township residents are exposed to roughly triple the amount of tax increase if a fire district is enacted versus reorganization was the point of the chart?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody in the public have anything they'd like to ask Sandy while she's up here? Clarify anything? Is it pretty clear to everybody? Go ahead. Did you stand up?
Oh, don't make it.
Okay.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
You don't need to
No,
stand.
you don't need to
It's
stand
okay, you
up.
don't have to stand, they say.
Yeah, my question relates to the sort of the structure of the taxation, because after 2027, is it, or beginning in 2028, there's the prospect of an income tax that can be added, or that's an alternative.
You're talking about local income tax?
I'm talking about SB 1, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and most likely it'll be in 2029, and the local income tax is to replace revenue from
Right,
property
yeah.
tax.
So, but I would personally like to see some comparisons, particularly in terms of projected financial implications that involve more than simply a property tax, because we're not billed only on property tax under SB 1, and we don't have the choice to change that, I presume.
I don't think those numbers are even available yet, are they?
This takes into account, Secretary's report takes into account the other revenues that the town gets. I mean, we get the local income tax, and we currently get excise tax and cigarette tax and,
Gas.
yeah.
Right,
so-
but as I understand it,
Figured that in.
and again, my name's Jim Perry. The question is, the sort of the tax will fall on people according to the tax structure for which they're responsible, whatever that is. And if there's a sort of a shift to a partial income tax, and our city clerk will, or our town
Yes.
clerk will clarify that for us.
The simplest way to answer this is Senate Enrolled Act 1 did change how local income tax is going to be structured. They did have an amendment, so it will not happen for us. We'll have to adopt, the town council will be the ones that actually adopt it if the reorganization passes,
Right,
right?
right.
So The estimates that we used the least amount of revenue that we would anticipate to receive based off of Senate Enrolled Act 1's
Right.
current low.
Right.
Now, the percentages have changed, and I haven't been able to finalize the bill or look through it. We're having our legislative update in a few weeks.
Right.
But that is something we did estimate in there. We did not
Yeah.
we estimated very conservatively
Yeah.
because we can't tell what the new town council is gonna do. So.
Yeah, my point is that we ought to be sort of structuring the sort of the tax project, or the projections of income according to the new structure, which includes the local income tax. And we also had sort of the concern about raises for city staff or town staff, right?
What do you mean by concerns?
Well, did we have raises for town staff this past year?
Yes, we included a 4% raise based on, we'll go without raises for 2 years prior, so.
I think a lot of your
So,
questions are gonna be
yeah.
answered on the financial impact study that's gonna come
And
after
this
the.
is not financial impact?
Well,
Or this is-
So,
Oh,
once
okay.
the plan, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but, once the plan is composed.
Right.
There has to be a financial impact study done. And that is a huge report that is gonna be compiled based off of all the things found in the report. And I think what you're asking for is going to have to be in that report.
Okay, and that was my only point, is to
If
sort
it's
of,
available. There's a lot of projections that won't be available. We don't know what the state's gonna do.
Right.
In 2029 especially.
but we do have some understanding of what the expectations are for sort of revenues needed by the town and township.
Correct. And as I
Right.
think Noel said, that's already baked in.
So, and then on that, we need to sort of adjust our sort of taxing authorities and taxing structure, and the property tax rate and the income tax rate, and et cetera. Right?
How the subcommittee came to these numbers, we took the budgets from the township, from every department in the town, with increases in capital needs and personnel needs, and these numbers reflect that.
Yeah. But my point is that if we sort of shift from the property tax to some combination of property and income tax,
All of the
that will
revenues.
sort of change
all
the
of-
numbers.
No,
That will-
all of the revenues.
won't change the tax rates?
No,
Won't change
this-
the property tax rates?
No, these numbers include all of the revenues that the town receives and will
Yeah,
receive.
but I'm not talking about revenues, I'm talking about tax rates that generate the revenues.
This is for 2027, and
Yeah.
that's as far as we could project.
Okay,
Because we don't
yeah,
know what
yeah.
the Senate Bill 1's gonna do to us at 29. That is still to be seen. It's an unknown that we
Right.
couldn't deal with.
The numbers in this report are for the 2027 budget.
Yeah, I would like to see us look a little bit further ahead in terms of sort of informing the public about the decisions that have to be made in terms of sort of approval of a merger or reorganization.
That's outside our scope at this time, Jim.
Yeah.
That's too far in the future and relies on too many other factors that we have no control over or insight into.
But if you can bring that to the table, bring that to the table.
Okay,
And keep in mind.
done.
If this is reorganized, if this passes, that question about, I think you're asking, what will be the income tax impact too? Is that what you're, right?
Well,
That
I
will-
mean, part of the sort of the revenue stream is a function of the property tax
Right,
plus
but
the income
as they've
tax.
said, that's already factored in. But those budgets, when they're made for those years that you're talking about, you will have a council representing the entire, town, former township and town, be able to address and make sure those concerns are addressed. Because we can't make policy or even suggestions for a council in 28 or 29 also. So, I mean, but you will have that representation.
William, you've got an opinion on that though, don't you?
What's that?
About what your preference would be?
In what way?
Well, I mean, look at the town's tax rates over the last 10 years.
I never look at rate. I look at what the increase is in actual dollars, because I've said, people have heard it, when you go pay your mortgage or pay a bill,
Right.
you don't pay by rate, you pay by
Right.
dollars. So I try to focus on a budget that has the least impact from what you pay this year to what you pay next year. And that's not gonna change if I'm still on the council. So I guess what I'm saying is that the income tax information that we have, I mean, yes, it's going to supplement some of the property taxes, but that's already factored into this. And if you're wondering how much your income tax is going to increase, the whole system's being.
I'm not worried about my income tax
Okay, then if you're worried
increasing.
about the property taxes, that if anything, I can't see, there would be no, since they took the most conservative value that's out there, there's nowhere to go but down. I mean, am I kind of safe to assume that, Sandy and Noel?
Yeah, as we grow.
Right, because all,
But it's not uncommon, for instance, for projections, for predictions on sort of future allocations to have a sort of a best-case scenario and a worst-case scenario.
We actually had that if we don't reorganize. That's the one constant. So we have those projections of what are going to happen if we don't reorganize.
with the income tax and how that, I mean,
Well,
So, and that's
I think we did, because if we run the status quo, the projection was that we would run into the red and there'd be reduction in services.
yeah, but that's not what he's asking.
Well, well, one thing has to do with the other.
Well, yes, but I guess what I'm saying is that this is, from what I've understood from what the subcommittee's presented, the worst-case scenario for income tax collection, right? This is if we adopt the lowest that we allow. So,
This is our third revision on our report. We had where the police were all in town, then we had where the police were spread out everywhere. and
They had
then we
no
where
cume
they're all out
fire.
in town. Yeah, so, yes, it's been looked at, talked about a lot.
right,
And as far as the state, after the tax rates established, and if the reorganization takes place, then we're locked into the state growth factor. So we can't raise
According to, for the property tax,
for the property tax,
not the income tax.
not the income tax. There
Okay,
is, there
I
is a
think
ceiling
that
on
I'm
the
sort of,
income tax.
the point I wanted to raise was sort of whether we can sort of factor in both the property tax provisions of SB 1 as well as the income tax provisions, and you're saying no.
no, they have factored that in. Right, Sandy and Noel? That has been factored in.
Yes, the rate that is set for 2027, because we know that.
Right.
For the local income tax is a revenue that was included to get these.
So that's in the projections
Yes, for 27.
For
for
27.
And
27.
that's as far as we're going.
That's, we're only doing for 2027 for the
Okay,
year that.
so that clarifies.
Any other questions for Sandy?
Not really a question for Sandy in total maybe, but for someone who doesn't pay a lot of attention to the numbers, that's me. I think this is a very clear chart, and when I read the report, I thought it was really, I understood it. My question is, whenever we talk about something, can we clarify what's in our jurisdiction and what is left to the netherworld of higher government to do? Because sometimes, like state income tax, that's not ever going to be a total in our purview, that kind of a thing. And I think sometimes we get caught up in, well, what's this going to be like if we do it? I think we also need to look at not only what it will look like if we don't do it, but what's out of our control no matter which way we go. And I think that's something maybe I'd like to focus on a little. Also, I think it's wonderful that we know that there are so many questions that we don't have answers to yet. People tell me that it's because it doesn't look like you know what you're doing. I keep trying to tell them it's because those answers aren't available yet.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with competency or lack of information. It has to do with lack of information available.
And on the flip flip side, if we had all those answers, then the same people would be saying, we already made the decision and we're not taking public input, so.
Yes. I was trying not to say that.
I'll say
Better
it.
you.
Anybody else have anything?
Scott,
Sandy?
he had some questions, I thought, that he emailed us.
Yes.
There's actually an issue that was just mentioned, actually, the question about just how the police costs were allocated. I think it would be helpful for everyone to understand that because it's been placed in the town section, but I think it's imagined that the police protection would be extended out into the township. So is that a permanent solution, and does that police number, that increased police cost, include everything that the public safety subcommittee is considering as far as the expansion of the police department?
That's the same question.
Yes, I mean, the supervisors worked on budgets numerous times, and we just got those totals directly from the supervisors. So I can't answer, maybe public safety or the individual supervisors could be better at answering your questions. I don't know about staffing, the increases on staffing and that type of thing, but maybe that'll be in the public assistance report. Pardon? And the police is only, I think you understood that the police is only in the urban area, but your question to me was, will they still go out and cover the township? Is that what I heard?
Yes, that's correct. And whether, just how it was determined that only the town would pay for police.
Well, the tax levies and the rates, kind of dictated some of this to us. And it was much more cost efficient for Ellettsville to continue paying for the police 100%.
Noel?
If I may, the intent to get the tax levy where it was manageable to meet all of the needs dictated putting the police only in the urban area. Obviously, as we grow, the tax districts can change. We can expand it out more, where it's at some point in 20, maybe however long, it's all one district and it's not just urban and rural. But in order for the numbers to work with the budget to keep the tax rate as low as we possibly could, that was the best option.
And to be clear, we're just talking about who's paying for it.
Yeah.
They would still be
Police,
controlled.
Yes,
Yeah.
The
everyone,
whole township will be police.
Yeah.
yes, because that's what we do now.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But they'll just be dispatched closer.
Does that make sense to everybody? Scott, does that answer your question?
Yes, I appreciate that information.
Sorry, I didn't have the right answer. Anything else on the finance committee?
No, thank you very much.
Great job, Sandy. Great
Well,
job.
I also, the township did not have a subcommittee. So one of the township workers, Bobby, was on our finance committee, and she worked really closely with us to help cover a budget for the township. And on our report, it says that on page 2, the township will have $530,000. So in your information, there's a breakdown on the budget that covers the $530,000. And I don't know, I mean, I've got a long sheet here that I really don't want to read. So hopefully you guys have looked it over and I want to answer questions, but I want to say the township trustee will become a department head over public assistance. Public assistance will still be housed in the township office. That supervisor will be with their employees. So they can, take care of everything that department needs. And they have a food pantry and they do a lot of public assistance, helps people in need when they hit a crisis. So Do you have any questions about public assistance? Because I can get my cohort up here to answer questions if you do.
I don't believe so.
I didn't have any questions, but it's obvious that public assistance is a critically important part of the work of the township and making sure that that's maintained properly, staffed properly, funded, and clearly available to all the residents of Richland Township is very important. So I appreciated the thoroughness of that additional report on the township. Thank you, Bobby, for that.
And that does cover, like I said, the supervisor and the office manager, the caseworker, and a part-time pantry person. So,
So the caseworker is the investigator?
yeah.
Okay.
And it moves one of the account and deputy trustee role, which are two part-time positions, into the clerk treasurer's office, because it deals with budget. And that's on the final recommendation that I have on the screen.
Okay. Again, good job.
And we want to remind everyone that all these subcommittee reports in full detail are available for download. You can get them at ellettsville-richlandinfo.org or off the town website. Ellettsville-Richland is just linking to the town website.
Yep.
So if you want to read all the detail of every single thing that the subcommittees have submitted, and have as much time as you want to pore over it and formulate questions, it's all there. Please do check it out.
Okay, the next subcommittee?
Oh, I gotta leave this here. Oh, sorry.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Ann McComb, and I'm going to be reviewing the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee report. So, overview of the administration and planning and zoning functions. So the subcommittee recommends that all of the planning and land use functions that typically happen are going to continue to be administered under the current leadership of the planning director. And then we also are recommending hiring of at least one additional professional to support Denise in her office and all the activities that she's going to have to do as a result of additional work with the reorganized town. Then under Plan Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals, so the subcommittee understands that the state of Indiana is going to set the final legislative voting districts, and that they will also have requirements in terms of additional seats that could be added. But if possible, the subcommittee recommends adding 2 additional seats to the Plan Commission and 2 additional seats to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And then again, under the state law, they're going to determine how those voting districts are reorganized, and if possible, as much geographic representation across the newly reorganized jurisdiction is what we're recommending for those 2 additional seats that are going to go on the Plan Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. We want that to reflect the geographic diversity of the newly reorganized town and make sure that it has representation from both the town district and the rural district. So that brings us then to the town and rural district. So the subcommittee is recommending the establishment of 2 districts within the reorganized town, so a town district and a rural district. All the property currently within the corporate boundaries of the town of Ellettsville, on the date that this is effective, that will all be classified as part of the town district. And then any property that's located outside of the town boundaries, but within Richland Township, that will be classified as part of the rural district. And right now, we are not making any recommendations to reclassify property currently within the town boundaries as part of the rural district. For the UDO and transition of current developments. So for any developments that are actively being worked on that have been approved under the Monroe County Unified Development Ordinance, our recommendation is that that proceeds as is right now under the approvals and standards that were in place at the time that all got started. If any of those in-progress developments need to see material modifications, at that point, then everything would come under the newly reorganized UDO. And then any new development applications that are submitted after the effective date of the newly reorganized town, then that would all be governed by the Town of Ellettsville UDO. So that's how we're recommending handling transitioning existing developments from Monroe County to the newly reorganized town. All right. And then we also provide in our subcommittee report recommendations in terms of when a property would move from the rural district into the town district. So there's a list there of about 6 different items that might trigger that movement from town to, or from rural to town. But that should be adopted by an ordinance and formal review process as things already established now with the current town and annexations. Then for the comprehensive plan update, so this was a bigger section for us. This is where we felt like we had a lot of input from the public and individuals who are in the development community in Monroe County. So we are recommending that the town undertake a comprehensive review and amendment of the comprehensive plan and then the UDO. So that way everything is clear, consistent, and aligned with should the reorganization get approved. So we're recommending that some of these updates, and Denise has already got this on her radar, she's already planning on this, a lot of these updates to the UDO be the work start now, it get ready, so that way if reorganization is approved in November, all of the updates to the UDO are ready to go on the effective date as well, so that we're not lagging behind and trying to catch up on that. One specific thing that our subcommittee report does pull out that's a lot more specific than the rest of the report is recommendations about updates to the UDO regarding wastewater service. The wastewater service requirements. So this is something that we heard from the public and as subcommittee members in our various professional roles during the day that we hear a lot. So we wanted to be sure that there was a lot of, that the updates happened to the current UDO to make that extra clear and specific to provide everyone that's in the development community consistency and an understanding of what the expectations will be moving forward. So that kind of is a big, broad overview of the Planning and Zoning Subcommittee report. We obviously are recommending reorganization because we feel like it will help unify the Planning and Land Use Authority. And we also feel that it is going to help with ensuring development decisions that affect residents of Ellettsville and the town and the township are going to be overseen by a single local authority. And that local authority is going to be directly accountable to the voters of the reorganized town. And we also think that this is going to provide a lot of administrative efficiency, eliminate some duplication, and provide greater clarity and predictability for not only residents, but also developers moving forward. So, any questions for me?
Great job. Has anybody got any questions? Planning and zoning.
It's everyone's favorite topic. Everyone loves planning and zoning.
Scott?
It's my favorite.
Where'd he go?
Scott, did you? Go ahead.
Oh, did you want me to ask a couple questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
could tell you.
Oh, okay.
She's a business owner.
Yeah, I've got a handful that I can probably just pass along to the subcommittee, but maybe one that people would be interested in, because I know that it's an issue that's on people's minds is, you know, the constraints that county zoning puts on the process, you know, for people who are in Richland Township. And if Richland Township becomes part of a reorganized town, obviously that process is going to move over into the hands of the town's current process and planning administration. And I know that there's a plan to add a couple additional members to the advisory planning commission and the board of zoning make sure that the current township would have a certain amount of representation on those bodies? Or is that just purely something that is administratively handled by the town council? And I ask that just because I could imagine that some people might think, well, we don't have much say right now, but we just be, we might just be not having much say, but, with a different set of people, for those of us out in the township.
Oh, if I'm understanding your question, is that what you addressed already?
I believe so, but we can
Go ahead, reiterate.
cover, yeah, we can reiterate it. Yeah, so we are recommending that within the expansion of the 2 additional seats for the Plan Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. So from what we understand, as we've discussed this with Denise and then the lawyers, and she's discussed some of this with the lawyers as well. From what we understand, the state of Indiana determines the final legislative voting districts. And so our recommendation is that the state of Indiana takes a look at, and I believe they will even restrict how many people can be on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I believe it's possible that we might not be able to add any additional seats. So we're deferring to whatever the state of Indiana says is required by law for the number of seats. And then we're also deferring to the state of Indiana based off of the legislative voting districts. But our recommendation is that both of those commissions under the newly reorganized town be reworked through a process. It's not going to happen overnight. Be reworked so that way there's a geographical representation and also a district representation, so that there's a town district, individuals who represent the town district, and then individuals who represent the rural district as well.
Based on population.
Yeah, based on population.
Thank you. I apologize if you feel like you said all that already.
No, it's,
Nope.
it's, yeah.
That's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Scott, it was my understanding you were wondering, your concern was if there is an expansion, how that expansion's chosen. Because the expansion could be chosen from current town residents as opposed to township residents. Was that more, who would decide?
Yeah, I think that's, that is at the root of my question is, clarifying for township residents whether this would just be handing control from essentially Monroe County to the town, to Ellettsville, and wanting to make sure that there was thought being given to making sure that township residents actually do have
Representation.
a say, as opposed to just a different master, if you will.
Yeah, I think from our understanding, a lot of that's going to depend on the state, to what extent we can. It's obviously written into the subcommittee report, and we hope that that will roll up into the broader reorganization report for that body to be, to have specific seats or specific representation based off of town district, rural district,
Gotcha.
and then, geography as a whole, yeah.
I was talking, I'm going to make the first comment, okay? I was talking with some folks this afternoon, and this is going to happen more and more and more and more and more. Everybody's going to be coming to everybody that sits up here, and also the subcommittee members, and even you folks that have shown your face now. And people are going to be coming and asking you questions, and some people are going to try to make it about taxes. Some people are going to try to make it about land use. Some people, whatever. We don't want Ellettsville to change. We don't want the township to change. However, governance, okay, how we're governed. And as I'm talking with these folks and telling them my ideas and my thoughts, she kept coming to my mind, okay? That is the future of Ellettsville right there. It's her generation. She's got a 5-year-old in school. She's unbelievably intelligent. I had a chance to work with her on the Planning and Zoning Committee. In my opinion, it's not about taxes, although if you look at it from a tax viewpoint, I think this is the better solution. It's not about land use, although if you look at it, and nobody's got more skin in the game than I do, okay, when it comes to land use. I've got a lot of land in the township. It's not about that. It's about what does the future, when we sit down and we give up the ghost, what does the future of Ellettsville look like for the next generation coming behind us? And if you look at the census, do you know what the average age is of the folks in the area? It's 35 years old. Now, you're not 35 years old, but and I'm not going to ask you. She's got a 5-year, let's just put it at that. She's got a 5-year-old.
We'd have to shut down the meeting if you did that.
Yeah. She could tell me, but then she'd have to kill me. But it's the truth. That's the future of Ellettsville. And then her son coming through the school system. That's the future of Ellettsville. If you want to know the best reason for reorganization, you're looking at it right there. She's the poster person. She should be on that poster that we put in people's yards.
I don't think anybody wants my face in the yard.
No. I'm super, super impressed with you. I know the job you did. I know how much work you put into this. You've got a full-time job on top of everything else that you do, as does everybody on all the subcommittees. We're impressed with all of you. So much talent in a little bitty tiny pool. But that's the reason we want to see reorganization done, is for that generation and then the generation she's bringing up and then her grandkids. Not us. We're old folks. We're dying out.
Well said, Kevin. But Darla, Eric, it's a great question. There is a process to ensure that representation is spread out geographically and by population that says the town as it is now will not control the new town as it's going to be. And correct me if I'm wrong, they take the boards apart and then put them back together again. Is that correct?
Well, first, yeah.
Until we get to governance, because I want to ask some questions about wards.
It's a hot topic right now. I just assume we finish this.
So, first I want to say I think everybody did a marvelous job on their reports, and I liked everything about them, the graphics, the charts, everything. I don't know that Mr. Cook and I have really had a chance to digest them. We will go through them, cross-reference with the Indiana Code to see what can and can't be done. But to answer the question about representation, I think as part of your reorganization plan, you can make an effort or state that when it comes to the boards, the composition of both the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Plan Commission, you can make an effort to pull people from different parts of the counties, so that it's not just the way it has been with everybody being appointed from Ellettsville. You don't want that, obviously, if you have a reorganization. So you can make a requirement that the people on the boards come from different corners of the county. So
Corners of the township.
Yeah, that's what I meant, sorry. So that's how you get your representation from, that's how the township
So
gets
that
their voice.
everybody gets represented.
Yes,
Yeah. So town representation, theoretically, it's almost 50-50. There's a little bit more people in the township. So the representation should, half of it be represented by the town and half of it be represented by the township, theoretically.
And what Ann said is we don't know for sure based on what the state
Sure,
may do, whether we have the ability to add seats to balance that quickly and immediately. It may take a little bit of time to get it balanced the way we want, but certainly I'm in favor of there being as equal representation as possible geographically and demographically, because the people who will make the best decisions about the usage of the land are the people who care about it most, who are closest to it physically.
Yeah, and, you know, the planning and zoning is already in place for the town. And that works really well, okay? But it's outside the town, in the township, that the dissatisfaction lies with how we're governed, okay, in the township. So that's what we would like to see changed. Does that make sense? Anybody else got anything they want to say? Great job, great job. Thank you.
Thank you. The subcommittee would just also like to thank Denise for all of her help and expertise.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic to work with, though.
Absolutely. Next. Somebody.
Yes, I'm Jim Perry, and I'm with the Parks, Recreation, and as I like to point out, cemeteries.
Green spaces, all green space, Jim.
All together, green, we hope green spaces. Until recently, they were white. Our committee is pretty simple. I think. Yeah, I got too close. First of all, we don't spend a lot of money on parks, recreation, and cemeteries. The township has some responsibility, and I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I think it was $10,900 for 2 cemeteries that have been abandoned in the township. And at least our expert, Valerie Dewar, tells me that the responsibility for cemeteries becomes a public responsibility. 1, if the cemetery is abandoned, and 2, it's on public land. And I assume that probably requires the cemetery to deed the land to the township or the other entity. Now, the one uncertainty we have, that I have, is whether that there's a prospect that responsibility might fall to the town if there were an abandoned cemetery in the town. But I think there are only 2 cemeteries in the town, and they're both connected to churches or religious institutions. And they have private boards, okay. So we have the numbers in the report for both what we spend on parks and recreation in the town as well as in the township. They're nominal numbers. The reality is that we're moving slowly to elevate the activity of parks and recreation. And there has been some, excuse me, I got something stuck in my throat and I don't have any water here.
Now get it.
Thanks. Yeah, okay, good, thank you. Seldom happens, but it did tonight. For a recreation director or somebody part-time to play that role, but they're really relatively little, there's little staffing, so there's very little dollar outlays. Now, in the report, we talk about sort of the range of park spaces, and they belong not only to the town and the township, but also the county and other entities like the, I'm trying to think of the trail system, yes, the trail system. Some of that is county, some of it's also related to, and I have my report on the phone here, so that's slowing me down a little bit.
Jim, would you like my hard copy?
Be great to have a hard copy. This is the limitations of not having a good printer at home. My wife manages the printing, and I don't have access. It's not working at the moment. So we try to inventory in the report, in the subcommittee of the report, parks, recreation assets, events, and there are a variety of events that might be considered parks, recreation, like the Monroe County Fall Festival in September, Ellettsville Summer Concert Series, the Indiana Limestone Symposium. We even included the Hilly 100 in there, although I don't know who manages the Hilly 100. I think it's probably a nonprofit that is more, or that is more inclusive than the town and township territories. Now, we were given 5 questions from the committee to answer, and we tried to answer those 5 questions in a relatively short text. Will the Parks Board continue to oversee these services? The answer is, I think, yes, although we suggest in there, and I was not aware that we were reorganized, or that the last subcommittee reports indicated a sort of a restructuring of the fiscal responsibility for parks recreation between the town and township. But I think that's consistent with our recommendation, and that in our recommendation we suggest that we maintain, since there is statutory authority under the in the state of Indiana for parks boards, and the town has a park board, but there's not a park similar entity in the township, that if we were to reorganize, that we would sort of redefine that entity to cover both the town and the township territory. There are presently 5 members on the Parks Board, and in our report we say we recommend maintenance of the same number of members and criteria for the membership, 2 of whom would be sponsored by the town executive, 2 by the township executive, and the 5th appointed from the Richland Bean Blossom School Corporation Board of Directors, and that's now Jimmy Durnell. Jimmy's the chair of the Parks Board. Do I have that right, Jimmy? Yeah, okay. So we're conceiving of the same structure, but the territories would have to shift. Another question that we were given is, how will the budget change, if at all, for Parks and Recreation? We say the subcommittee does not envision any immediate budget changes. Now, one of our members, Paula Anderson, Paul is not here though. I think Paul is going to be watching us on CATS, on the Community Action or Community Television. Paula has some expertise in this area, and she suggested we develop a master plan somewhere 5 years down the pike. And that is another, but we also suggest that the budgets for the 2 jurisdictions now total $126,000, which is sort of a minimal fiscal impact, and that we could sort of easily carry over. And I think the last subcommittee addressed the financing of that budgetary outlay. How many cemeteries are in Richland Township? We say 17, but 9 of these cemeteries are abandoned, and 7 of the abandoned cemeteries are on private land, which shields the township from any responsibility for them. But there is some obligation or some responsibility for the maintenance of the 2 that are on public land: the Houston Town Cemetery and the Vernal Mayfield Cemetery, of which I know their names on the report here, but I know nothing about them, and I couldn't tell you where they were, but they're somewhere in the township, and Dawn, you probably know where that is, I suspect.
I actually do not.
Yeah, oh, you don't, okay, okay. What are the costs for cemetery maintenance? $10,900 cemetery maintenance, and we have that number in there. And then we also suggest some future ideas for parks and recreation in the town and township, in part because it's an underdeveloped area activity. And we suggest better promotion of programs and assets. You know, one of the things as we came together, we realized there are lots of assets and there are lots of programs, but people may not sort of connect with them. And to be honest, they don't necessarily attach themselves to the town or township, but they may be county, they may be a different jurisdiction. And so I think we sort of need some entity, though, that provides better promotion of the programs and assets. We also a second point, emphasis on cooperation, cooperative activity, and collaboration, in part because I think the township, for instance, now has the ball fields, but the ball fields are leased, or they're shared, and sort of the town and the ball fields are located in Ellettsville, but they're owned by the township, and there's some responsibility for the town and the township between the two, between the ball fields and the facilities of the ball fields. So I think that's sort of an indication, again, of the collaborative activity that is ongoing that we need to be mindful of, particularly in an area where historically there's been a sort of a significant role for nonprofits, and we do suggest also that there be the development of a sort of a nonprofit foundation to provide funding, and some of these activities have been funded by nonprofits in the vicinity, but we've not sort of emphasized that or the funding sources significantly. And then the third general point was expansion. Well, that's I already said that, expansion of involvement of nonprofits. Paula has some other ideas in that area, but we have both the sort of the core report, which is about 4 or 5 pages, and then we've got a lot of other additional materials that sort of are intended to elaborate if somebody wants to look for further elaboration, and we may, in the next iteration of this, depending on the committee's preference, try to sort of develop a closer correspondence between the two by one citing the other one, but not necessarily incorporating it, so that somebody who wants to go to the subcommittee report can read 4 pages and come away with sort of our general set of recommendations. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. After reading the report, especially the addendum at the end, I learned a whole bunch about the parks and organizations in our area that I had not known. And I have kids, we go to the parks.
I hadn't either. Yeah, so.
Any questions for Jim?
Thanks for the water.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the report.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Good, thank you.
If we haven't yet, we definitely want to thank everybody that participated in the subcommittees.
Yeah, a lot of work
Yes.
in a short period of time.
I particularly appreciated how much effort was clearly given to making the reports intelligible, making them not just technical, not just a bunch of data, but actually interpreting it, framing the main questions, and giving clear recommendations. And in other cases saying, there are 2 possible options here or there, and we are not going to make a recommendation about this, but this is what you need to know to understand the options. So I found them overall very intelligible. I was concerned that I was going to slog through a lot of just technical data, and I was very pleased to read much clearer subcommittee reports than I had expected, even.
And simplified. Scott, do you have any questions for Jim? No?
No.
Okay. Okay, the next subcommittee. I'm gonna start picking people, I know you.
Good evening, Zach Michael with the Public Safety Subcommittee. I'll let Calvin introduce himself when he's ready. 2 presenters on this. Neither one of us wanted to pretend we knew what we needed to know to present for the other person. So I hope that's okay with you guys. On the police side, we started off just kind of comparing the area we're responsible for now and what that will look like if the reorganization happens. And, I'm not going to go through the entire report. You have it. If you have questions, certainly let me know. But I just wanted to point out a few things. Quick comparison between the 2 entities. There's 35.4 square miles in Richland Township, 7.33 in town of Ellettsville. So that's a pretty big difference for us. That's about a 382% increase in the area that we'll be responsible for in terms of patrol. Population-wise, fortunately, a much smaller increase. So we're going from 6,000, almost 7,000 residents to a little over 15. And this is all according to the 2024 American Community Survey. So that increase is about 126% for us. So just to give you an idea of what our increases will look like. And to answer the question that I'm hearing a lot, and I'm not sure where the confusion comes from, so you'll hear it here first, folks. The Ellettsville Police Department, if reorganization happens, will be responsible for policing the entire township, the town of Ellettsville and the township. So that is a definite. We had the top 3 at our department, the top 3 at the sheriff's office. We had a very productive conversation about a month ago, Chief, I think it was. And they will the sheriff's office will continue to back us up just as they do now. It's a very good relationship we have with them, so we see no changes in that whatsoever. And I think there's very intelligent individual that has been in my ear, and I think he definitely hit the nail on the head when he said, overall in this county, staffing is not going to change. Sheriff's office isn't going to lay anybody off. Bloomington PD is not going to lay anybody off. If this happens for us, we're not going to lay anybody off. In fact, we're adding people. So everybody works really well together in the law enforcement community. That will continue. So if something major happens here and we need help, we know we're going to get it. And rest assured that, you know, the township, the population of the township will be well protected. So we are immediately calling for, or asking for, I guess, the recommendation is an additional 3 officers for the department. And we're basing this all on averages. So unlike the fire department, and the fire service in general, we don't have a known standard. There's not a developed standard in this country, right? So we work off of averages, and the average currently in the United States is 2.4 officers per 1,000 residents. In the Midwest, it's a little bit lower because obviously in different regions of the country you have differences. So it's a lot lower out west, but in the Midwest it's 2.2. Currently, the town of Ellettsville, we sit at 2.5, which is really great. Now, if reorganization happens, that obviously is going to lower, but I did want to point out that currently the county, the sheriff's office, they sit at 0.81 officers per 1,000 residents. So with the 3 additional officers that, you know, if reorganization happens, that we would gain, would put us at, I think it's 1.13 per 1,000 residents. So, you know, it's going up. The average is going up, which is a good thing. So that's the immediate recommendation. We put in there some 5 to 7 year planning. As we know, the township, or the reorganized town, if this happens, will continue to grow economically, and population will probably grow with housing and such. So we put some long-term recommendations in there. You can see those. I'm happy to talk about those, but I think the focus is right now, you know, how do we make this happen, and what do we need, you know, for 2027. So three is what we're recommending. We are looking forward to this. Should it be, or I guess I should say when it is hopefully approved. We look forward to it. So happy to answer questions on the police side. If you don't have any, then I'll turn it over to Calvin.
Does anybody in the public have anything they'd like to ask? I think Sandy addressed a lot of it as far as the funding for the 3 additional officers. That's all in place. Nobody?
Yeah, pointing out to the public that this reorganization isn't going to dramatically change the rate of calls for service in any meaningful way, likely because it's the same people in the same area with the same basic needs, the same traffic patterns, the same everything on January 1. It's not going to suddenly be an entirely different thing.
And it's not just Ellettsville, and it's not just the county, the police in the township. I mean, I've rode along at least twice with Bloomington's police department in the township, you know, where they've helped cover it too. You know, 3 times where they've helped cover the township. Like you say, everybody works real close together. Great police departments, you know, everybody's serviced.
Bloomington does have a section in the township, which I know that's been discussed before, and that was not included in anything we did on the public safety side. But yeah, I mean, obviously there are some very big overlaps in, you know, how they get from point A to point B puts them in the township, so they're patrolling in the township. So all that's going to continue. None of that will change.
And then even if we really need it, state police has responded
Yes.
too. So,
Yes.
And I'm glad you guys have a very good working relationship with that, because this would not work without it. Matter of fact, I don't think policing or even fire protection would work if there weren't cooperation.
Correct.
Thanks, Zach.
Yep, I'll turn it over to Calvin.
Hello. I'm Calvin Poole, and with the subcommittee, and I worked on the fire side of the subcommittee report. And essentially for the Ellettsville Fire Department, we are currently the provider of fire, rescue, and first responder, medical first response services for the town of Ellettsville as well as Richland Township. So we're currently providing that service, and we have since about 1947. So we're operating out of 2 stations, one in the township, one in the town. And so, you know, the quick summary of the thing is that if this consolidation was to go through tomorrow, we would be able to continue with services as we are currently providing them. The biggest part of the report is to just make the committee and any future governing entity aware of some of the future challenges and some of the future issues that we are looking at that would require some growth of the fire department. I'll skip through some of the history stuff on here, but for instance, we are seeing continued growth in demand for calls for service in our response area. And as the chart showing there that's up on your screen now is in the last 5 years, we have seen approximately about a 102% increase in calls for service. So just increased requests for medical services, increased responses across the board. And we don't really predict that to go in a downward direction. The other piece of the puzzle is that we do have 2 stations, 2 crews that respond to calls, and that on occasion that we do have what we classify as overlapping calls, where there's more than one call occurring in our response area that requires both stations to be out and addressing calls. And in tracking those, in 2024, we showed that we had 530 occasions where we had both stations committed on calls. And in 2025, that number was 546. So just a point to be aware of on that. Additionally, as far as overall activity in the Ellettsville and Richland Township area, we are one of the busier areas. Our 2 stations are the number 2 and number 3 responding companies when you look at the county as a whole, including Bloomington City, as that chart shows. So we do have a lot of call volume, and we do, as I said earlier, we are expecting those numbers to not go in a downward direction, but only increase as development continues and we gain more population in our area. The current operating budget for 2026 is about $3.4 million. I believe the current proposal for 2027 is around 3.8. The biggest increases in that are regarding some obligations, some legal obligations for increased contributions to retirement funding, some natural increases in expenditures, and also a request for 3 additional personnel. And that kind of gets us into our future challenges. If the budget for 2027 is approved, we would go from where we currently are in staffing of having a total of 6 personnel on duty at one time, 3 at our Station 71 in Ellettsville and 3 at our Station 81 in the township. And an additional 3 personnel, if approved in 27, would bring that up to having 4 at one station and 3 at the other. What we're trying to do is work toward getting back up to the national minimum standard for staffing of an engine company, and that is 4 on each engine company. So, like I said, granted, if we do get that increase in 27, the next immediate need is additional 3 personnel at some point down the road to try to get us to that staffing level of 4 personnel at each station for a response. Another staffing need that's been identified is an eventual need for adding a shift supervisor. And that would be 1 additional person on each shift that would be able to oversee major incidents and take on many of the administrative functions of supervising the on-duty shift personnel and freeing those tasks up from the administrative staff where they can focus on other projects. The other item, as far as future challenges, is the maintenance of fleet. Obviously, fire trucks are not small vehicles, and they don't come with a small price tag either. So we currently have 1 new pumper that's currently ordered, and we have a ladder truck that has also been ordered. One of them should be due in at some point this year, and the ladder truck, I believe, we're looking at 2027 for that one, I think. Yep. But in addition to that, the entire fleet eventually goes through a replacement schedule, and we are fortunate enough that we do have some national standards on that recommend what that replacement schedule should look like in some general terms. Ideally, your frontline life of your primary trucks, like the engines, should be about a 15-year lifespan. Then they spend some time as a reserve truck where they can be stood up and used as needed, like if the primary truck goes down for maintenance. And then around the 20-year mark, that's when we're looking at trying to replace apparatus and retire those older trucks out of the fleet. The chart that's on there, it shows what the current age of the fleet and how those dates are kind of staggered currently from when they were acquired originally. And we would just encourage that the need for fleet replacement continue to be addressed so that we don't end up with a backlog where you have multiple apparatus that are in need of replacement at one time, and we can continue to kind of stair-step our way through them one at a time. The last item that we wanted to make sure that the group was aware of as far as future needs is the possibility of having a 3rd station brought online at some point down the road. Now, the Harmon Farm, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit. There's 2 items as far as talking about stations. Currently, the current township station, we performed a study back in 2024 about the possibility of replacing that station and changing its location. And through that study, in conjunction with the township, a location was determined off of Vernal Pike and Hart Strait. We were able to actually acquire land there at no cost to the town or the township. And we do have a plan for a new station that can go in that space. That location would better locate the township station to have better coverage of the township instead of being kind of in the far southeast corner of the township right now. It would be a little more centrally located and give us a better overlapping coverage. The plans for that are currently on hold because of all the different variables involved in this process. I believe the township had identified funds that they could move forward with that if all things being equal, but with the current discussions over what the future governance of the area is going to look like, that's kind of on pause right now. As I prematurely mentioned, a 3rd station is kind of on the radar for future. Harmon Farms development out here on the west side of town, as a part of their development, they set aside land for a future fire station. This isn't something that's going to happen tomorrow. As all of you know, funding for public safety is kind of on the back end. You get the development, you start getting the tax revenue in, and then once you have those funds built up, then you start bringing up your resources to cover those areas. And we understand that. But with development on the west side of town and with the potential for other future developments throughout the town and township, we do expect, demand for services to increase. We do expect that the instances of overlapping calls will probably increase as well, and that we will eventually have a need for a third station to maintain good coverage and consistent coverage. The location and kind of being up in the northwest portion of the response area would also kind of give us a good coverage that would kind of seal up some of the gaps that are left between the two stations. And I believe there are some illustrations a little bit further in the document that kind of go through that. And specifically the last one kind of puts together all three of those, where the blue area is showing the relocated township station and what its coverage area would look like. And you have kind of the brown area there, that's the current town station, Station 71. And then the future site up in the northwest corner that would kind of fill in some of the gaps that we have in that far western side. And that would give us a good footprint of coverage and response to the entire area. And like I said, this is kind of a roadmap discussion, not necessarily immediate needs. Like I said at the beginning, we have been the provider of services for the town and township for many, many years, and we are taking care of that community now and can continue through whatever becomes of this, as if we end up with a governance that keeps us in that area. Any questions for me?
Any questions?
That existing station in the southeast part of the township, is that?
I'm sorry? What about?
There's a station down the south, Richland Township has a station in the southeast part of the township there. What's planned on it?
That's the station that we're currently looking to relocate and place at the Vernal and Hartstrike location. And like I said, the main couple of reasons for that. The station you're referring to, it was built in 1971. It was originally designed for one person to be in there, and we're trying to staff 4 people now. So it's a little tight, and it's, as far as response for the entire township, its position kind of puts us on some long runs getting across to more western and central areas of the township. So the idea would be that we would no longer be in that station, but relocate to the new location.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Anyone else?
Just to be clear, these needs that you outlined,
Yes.
Whether this happens or what, they still need to be done.
Yes, and like I said, yeah, what I was hoping that we would all understand from this is that, yeah, these are kind of just roadmap issues that we're projecting for the fire department as a whole, not consolidation issues. Like I said, if we consolidated tomorrow, we could continue to provide protection at the same level we are right now to the community the next day under a new governance. These are all things that, regardless of the future governance picture of this area, would need to be addressed for fire service protection.
Do we want to comment anything about fire territory?
I don't think that would, for this committee.
Thank you.
All right. You want to talk about the planning part, or?
If you want to,
Well,
you can, or I can, it doesn't matter.
We were tasked with coordinating a little bit with the planning department, and so I believe the planning department kind of got split between 2 subcommittees a little bit, because public safety, planning, there's an aspect of planning, like through inspection services, that does fall under public safety. And essentially, what we were looking at with input from the planning department was that obviously there'll be an expectation that there's going to be more plan reviews, more inspections to do over a much larger territory and a much larger space, and with growing development, that increases that volume as well, so that they were going to be looking for an additional employee to help with that workload. And that's, you got anything to add to that?
That's perfect.
And that's what we got.
All right.
All right.
Good job. Mr. Patton.
Kevin Patton, Fire Chief with the town of Ellettsville. Not going to take up any time here, but I know there's a lot of questions with the fire district, the fire territory, where it stands, all this, the pros and cons. I'm going to be back over there, so when the meeting's finished, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to hang around and answer them. That way I don't take up any of your time.
Thank you, thank you. So I think we've got finance left.
No, finance.
Oh, no,
Local
governance.
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 I'm elected by virtue of no one else being able to be here. So I will be very quick though, because luckily for us, we have very limited options on what we're allowed to do. So let me pull up the report really quick so everyone online can see. And I apologize, I need to sit here so that I can read off my papers and move the screen at the same time. So really quick, I'm just gonna read the executive summary. We reviewed current governing structure of the town of Ellettsville and Richland Township and the transition needs that would result if reorganization takes effect. We find that the reorganization between the town of Ellettsville and Richland Township is recommended, and this report will present 2 governance options for the reorganization board's review and determination. We wanted to present multiple options to ensure that the representation for Richland Township was considered. That was one of the main things when we were having our discussions, that we wanted to make sure that Richland Township, having a greater population than the town of Ellettsville, was able to have maximum representation on the transition board. With that being said, we will go to a side-by-side comparison of the board's considerations. So option 1 has it at 7 members with 5 districts and 2 at large. And for the board's knowledge, we currently call them wards. The recommendation is to transition wards to districts, since that's what the county uses for everything else in the city. It just makes it a little bit easier for the public to know where to go for districts. The at-large seats, we are recommending that we take 2 from the township trustee board that will be elected this year to take office January 1st of 2027 for option 1. And so then those at-large seats will serve their full 4-year cycle. So the term will end December 31st of 2030. We don't have any temporary transitional seats in option 1. You'll see that in option 2. And so the board size beginning in 2028 for the transition year will be 7 members. And the offices that are elected in 2026 for wards 4 and 5 that will become districts 4 and 5 stay their entire 4-year term. So for the 2027 ballot, you'll have districts 1, 2, 3, and the clerk treasurer. So you'll have those members that will stay on during the transition year to be reelected, or to be elected new positions for 2028. So the next at-large election will be in 2030, and the first full election realignment, where the potential for every new person to be on the board will be in the 2031 cycle. So that's option 1. So option 2, and to be fair, we kind of asked the legal team pretty late in the game, because we were still kind of trying to figure out what would maximize the Richland Township representation, to make sure that they had a good representation on the board. So, we're not 100% sure how a 9-member board would work, because the knowns would be that we could take at least 3 members from the township trustee board, because we know that those will be elected. The unknown would be, because the intent of the township trustee subcommittee was to take the elected township trustee person who would be in office January 1st of 27 and transition them to the director of public assistance. So the laws have changed somewhat, we were told, with special elections. So we were not 100% sure. So I hope with board discussion and legal that that could be figured out, if that's the option that the reorganization board chooses to go in. And that's pretty much it. The only difference between option 1 and option 2 is that instead of a transition year of 7 members, it's 9 members. And then on option 2, if that's the option chosen, in 2028, it would go back to 7 members for the full board.
Voted on from the entire reorganization.
Correct, because the maps, which you'll be having a presentation next week, I'm guessing,
Yeah,
for
we'll
the
need to-
maps.
We'll need to discuss meeting weekly as well.
You'll see the districts, and he's got several maps. I have a preview of them, but he's going to be doing a full presentation of
Let's
that.
not look at that now. So, moving from the wards to the districts,
Only the name changes.
only the
just
name changes, so the wards stay the same? So the 46 corridor, that's still a district?
Well, I think Mr. Shelton's going to give a presentation next
Yeah.
week on,
So they'll have to expand based on population, but that's covered in code. Like, that's not something that is just arbitrarily decided upon, thankfully for us. So it goes based, there's several factors, population, all sorts of things.
But eventually, all the districts will change from what they are now.
Yes, they will have to change to incorporate the newly available areas for people to be on boards.
So those running in 2027 would run under the new districts.
Correct.
Yes.
And the clerk treasurer, yes.
Right.
So anyone in the township, for my position, for example, anyone in the township can run for that.
So, when you say 2027, is that
To take office January 1st of 2028.
2028?
Right.
So that's a
So you-
November election.
Well, yes, yeah.
Okay,
So you have the primary and the
2027.
general, yeah.
So everything pretty much runs the status quo until 2027, if the reorganization takes place.
Yes. So the 2 members that are currently up for election this year in wards 4 and 5 would become District 4 and 5, and they would maintain their 4-year term. And then the 3 positions in the clerk treasurer next year, like I'm up for election next year, so I have to run next year. So anybody in the township can run for clerk treasurer.
So that's all under option number 1.
Yes, well, it's option 1 and 2, because the voting area is gonna be all 1, instead of Richland Township and the town of Ellettsville.
Okay.
It'll be easier to see when Mr. Shelton presents the maps. It'll be a lot easier to see, because he'll have an overlay of what the current districts are, or wards, and then what the new proposed ones, and you guys will have a lot of discussion about that.
And that criteria was determined by?
State code.
Okay, state code, based on population.
Yes, there's a lot of variables. I can't speak to everything, but luckily for us, we didn't have to learn any of that, so
Yeah,
I'm happy about
yeah.
that.
On the districts, wards and, from what I've understood, that they're interchangeable, that just wards is an older term. But would we be changing who's eligible to vote? In other words, so District 1 would still be at large? I mean, you have to live in the area, but everybody in the township
So-
votes for it.
So on option 1 and option 2, the permanent board would have 2 at-large members, and that it would be township-wide. And then you would have 5 people that have to live in their specific district, but they're voted on by everyone in the township. It's the same as we do the current
Do it
town
now.
council now,
Yeah, okay.
and the township trustee board.
Yeah, if not, you'd have to have a separate election for each district.
That would be expensive.
That'd be expensive.
Well, Not really. I mean, because.
It could cost the same, but
It would
there's no
cost, yeah.
sense in putting everybody through all that.
I just don't know if some of the districts have enough registered voters, I mean, to do that. I mean, but I will tell you, the county does that effectively, so does the city of
Yeah.
Bloomington.
So parity would be equal from district to district, correct?
Population-wise.
Right.
Population-wise, yes.
I think there's some what is the variance, can't be more than 10% or something like that for state code.
That sounds right, William.
Okay.
And again, we did not feel comfortable making a recommendation for the board we thought that these were the two best options to ensure that there was maximized township representation.
Any questions from the public? That's a biggie.
I do have one more question.
Go ahead.
What is your recommendation for township trustee? Would it still be an elected position, but employed by the town?
I mean, the recommendation, and I can only speak for me personally, but we did talk about if the option one was chosen, then both of the other members of the subcommittee are very comfortable with that. It would be the township trustee that is elected this year to take office of January 1st of 2027 would become the director of public assistance.
Right, but
Because you would have two at-large members or two at-large members from the township trustee board. And that to be determined, again, by the board, if it's the highest vote getters, or if the township trustee board makes that recommendation.
Right, but again, would that position be elected?
The director of public assistance?
Right.
No, it would be a
Okay.
town employee.
Because I know by code with reorganization, they can still elect a township trustee. They just work for the town, just like you would.
But theoretically, there's no township.
Well, no, but,
Nobody making that person the director of public assistance, I mean, it would just be.
The director of public assistance would be appointed by the council under, I mean, obviously, we did not do enough research because we did not realize that the township trustee could still be an elected position. We were working off the assumption that that position would become then appointed by the town council, the new town council.
So we have some clarification still to pursue on this,
Right.
on this question.
Yeah.
and the governance committee has no issue if as this committee makes that determination?
That, we were just presenting options. And the main purpose for our scope was to ensure that the board had continuous service and that the representation from the township was adequate.
Okay.
But, for lack of a better word, the township trustees not sitting on council?
No.
No.
No, okay.
But you would have two township board members from the township board sitting on council in both of these options.
Well, when you say two from the township,
Because it would come from the board.
The current, it would come for that first.
The newly elected
The
board.
newly
that's-
elected
That's
board.
running this year.
yes. It's not transitional.
The
that's a good
interim
word,
government.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a better term. And the districts will change with the maps, and so that'll open it up to more township residents also for 1, 2, and 3 that have to run in 2027.
As it should, because there's more people.
And theoretically, we could end up running against each other, current council members.
That'd be slick, I'd like to see that. Yeah,
Thunderdome?
Anybody else have
Two
any
men enter, one
questions?
man leaves.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
I know
all.
that was a tough one too. Mike, you want to do streets and sewers and water and?
No, I don't.
So,
We really haven't had any direct contact as far as utilities. I think that's what you meant.
right.
And currently, the township's served by 4 different water companies. And also, there's 2 different sewer organizations, Eastern Richland Sewer Corporation, which is a rural sewer system that feeds into the Ellettsville system. We do their billing and we treat their sewer. So the wastewater, we have a relationship with Eastern Richland, and we've been talking to them about all this. Van Buren Water is one of the water companies that serves the southern portion of the township. And so I'm going to go to their meeting next Thursday and let them, make sure they understand what's going on. And Bean Blossom Patricksburg on the west side, they serve water into Ellettsville, and as we grow, there'll be more of their system in our town. So there's been a lot of questions. Well, we change who provides our sewer or our water? No, it's not possible economically, and it's not anything we need to concern ourselves with. We are all working together pretty good now. Currently, the mantra is we work together so we can be in line when there's economic opportunities to serve, and so we don't care who serves, just as long as it supports what we're trying to do in our community. So, that's the long and the short of it. So.
Darla and Eric, for the main report, do we need to include, though, what Mike just said or something, correct? That has to be addressed.
Correct.
Okay.
There will be
so-
some language in there about that.
Okay.
I guess one of the questions that I'd have is, if this happens, if reorganization happens, and development takes place outside, in what's now the township, who determines who services what?
Well, when it comes to water, the water system is
already in place.
It's pretty much in place. When it comes to wastewater, we're working through a 5, 10, and a 20-year plan currently about how we expand our sewer system. We are currently working with the Aviation Board, Monroe County Aviation Board, to perhaps serve their area with sewer. They've had some difficulties getting City of Bloomington to acknowledge that they need it and say they'd serve it. So they're really looking to us to work with them. So we've already come up with a plan, and we've already made a informal commitment, and it has to do with economic development on their properties. They have 400 acres they'd like to develop. And so we have the ability, as we're a small community, but we're not just a maintenance utility, we're a construction utility too. So we have the ability to act fast and to expand our system as needed in a short amount of time. Always finance has something to do with it, but that always works itself out. So 2016, when we had to do another secondary water line into Ellettsville, the town of Ellettsville did the work in-house, saved a lot of money, and it went a lot quicker. There's no change orders and a lot of things, a lot of hoops we didn't have to jump through because we did it ourselves. So we're in a position, planning-wise, and to be able to project, we're in a good position where we can react to current needs and future needs.
As they unfold, yeah.
Yep. Feel real strong about that too.
Can we get some type of report, though, to put on the website for the public to look at? Because there's an expectation of that. Same with roads and streets. I don't see Kip here.
We'll throw one together tomorrow.
Well, I can put something together, but I'm not sure what you would want, because our reaction would be to where the need is. We don't have the ability to just populate the whole township with sewer tomorrow.
No, I understand
And so,
that, but I guess it would be, how do you address the growth? Like Kevin said, who determines who gets it? If it's already kind of decided areas, put that in there. But like stormwater fees, how are they collected?
well, the stormwater fees will change from the county to the town.
Right.
And just like I had a question today. We annexed some new property, and they said, well, will they have the Ellettsville stormwater fees? And the answer is yes. They're not going to have wastewater because they want to act now. It's a small, minor subdivision, and they ask if they could use septic. So we're very adaptable, and we're flexible about how we go about our business. To put that into a plan would dictate that we say things that would change tomorrow depending on the circumstances.
Well, good example though, yeah, I know the funding switches from the county to us, but collection, what's our method for collection? The county's billing property taxes.
And we'll be billing like it's our stormwater fees, or our stormwater fees now are on our water and sewer bill.
Right.
Or on our water bill, because some people don't have
Right.
sewer.
But for those that don't have any,
They'll just receive a bill. I mean, right now, that's our plan.
okay. But monthly, then just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Anybody else have any questions? I've got a question, and it has to do with planning, okay? The TIF district, how's that shake out? If reorganization takes place, that money's gonna be collected the same?
That have just recently been established by the town?
No, I'm talking about the West Side TIF.
I don't think that changes the
So
TIF.
the monies that come into that stays, of course, in that
Yes.
district, but who would govern that? Would that be the county still governing that, or would
County
that?
doesn't govern it now.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
The west
but
side?
it's, yeah, the west side TIF is county.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the west side that we put
No,
out
no,
by
no,
the
he's
town.
not talking about our.
Oh, okay.
He's talking about,
Yeah, where
Yeah.
GE used to be
Correct.
and Cook and everybody.
right, that's the counties.
Okay.
TIF.
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes, so that money still comes in the same, still goes into the county coffers and for infrastructure in that TIF.
It would change when the TIF expires though.
Correct.
And what about if the TIF expanded?
That's beyond what I could tell you right now at
Right
this
now?
meeting.
Okay.
My understanding from being on the RDC, TIFs can't really expand. They have to redo the TIF to add
Well,
on.
no, that's correct.
So
I
if they
mean,
did that, I don't think they could. That would be us. At that
If
point.
reorganization passed.
Yeah. I don't know if there'd be any way to do that because they would be
Encroaching.
they would be expanding to another municipality.
That's probably true, but I'd want to look at the
Right, no,
statute.
again, I'm not an attorney, not trying to act like one. This is just my thought process on it.
Come on up, please.
Hi, Kathy Weller. I live in the township. First of all, I wanted to thank the committee and all the subcommittees for all the work you've done. A lot of clarification has gone on this evening. I see you put in a lot of maps and charts like I asked for last time. So that's very helpful. My question, maybe you were going to address it at the end of the meeting, but where do we go from here? What's the schedule of your consideration, public comments, the vote? Could you go over the timeline for the process from this point on?
Well, yeah, I
We
mean.
need to meet, so now the board takes all the subcommittees' recommendations, they put that in a form that they can live with, and then hand off to the lawyers.
Yeah, but I think to address
What do you-
this,
what do
real
you
quick,
ask?
I'll
It's too
say.
early for public comment because you haven't come up with a final draft yet.
Right,
And so what is the approximate timeline for that? When it will
before-
be available for public comment?
This is to the
So-
subcommittee. I think we need to make a decision right now on whether we meet weekly. I keep bringing this up, so I think now's the time that we need to start meeting weekly. And I'll make that motion, that we move to weekly meetings.
Okay.
Moved by William, I will second.
Okay.
And the purpose of moving to weekly meetings would be because we now have to synthesize all this subcommittee material. There are a number of additional questions that it raises, because a lot of these things have overlapping implications. But these subcommittee reports are not themselves binding.
Right.
We don't have to find a way to make every single puzzle piece fit. We have to take the recommendations from each one and find a balance to craft a proposal that we as a board feel meets the goals and needs of the community. Obviously, we're gonna try to have that draft done as soon as possible, as soon as we can get remaining questions answered. Darla, I believe we had an April 1st deadline to submit a draft.
April 1st is when Baker Tilly wants the draft. And then hopefully the reorganization plan will be finalized within a month or so after that. And then the public hearings will take place end of May, 1st of June.
Okay, thank you.
Noel, yes.
On our website, under reorganization, there is a Baker Tilly presentation on there called Proposed Governmental Reorganization. And on page 3, it has the reorganization rough timeline. It doesn't have exact dates, but it lays everything out from start to finish, January 1st of 2027.
Awesome. If you meet, I guess you're gonna meet every week now, that's gonna be open to the public and so
We
they'll.
moved and seconded, we haven't voted on it yet. But yes.
Okay, I'm gonna wait.
So, still stick with the Wednesday, 6 o'clock?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, put it.
For some meetings, that will mean we have a hard stop at 6:50.
Right.
On certain dates. So it won't be necessarily as long and open-ended a meeting as this. It will have to be a little bit more concise,
We
but.
just have 2 of those, just
Okay.
March
Right.
11th and March 25th.
Great.
Dawn and I know those dates by heart.
And I don't think there'll be quorum the 18th to have a meeting then.
Hopefully there will be, but we'll see.
Okay.
Darla, would there be any problem if we did not have quorum of just having a working session or some kind of public meeting on that date to receive questions and feedback from the public, rather than initially saying we're going to have a meeting this date and then yanking that meeting?
I think if it's advertised as a work session, that's okay, but you won't be able to vote or make any decisions at that meeting.
So I won't be able to make a
So,
motion and force everybody
yeah,
to
so-
meet every other day.
Daily meetings.
The daily meetings, yes.
Okay, so at least for the March 18th, where we're
So you're
concerned
talking about that
because.
spring break, right? as well?
Right, because of various travel plans, enough board members may be absent that we might not have a quorum. But the motion is to move to weekly meetings on Wednesdays at 6 PM. Moved by William, seconded by me. Are we ready to call the roll?
Yep.
Starting when?
Starting next week.
Thank you.
I vote yes. William?
Yes.
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion
And
passes.
I think Scott.
Oh, Scott.
Scott.
We adopted an electronic policy.
Yes.
Scott?
Said yes.
All right.
Yes, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, Scott, did you have any additional questions or anything?
Nothing that I need to ask right now. No, thank you for checking.
Okay.
And to address the broader question, when's the public comment, time? All of it, all now, and, I mean, so, all the public input on this, the draft of most of these subcommittees are on the website. If there's a concern, don't hesitate, bring it up to us now.
Yeah, and any questions you have, Kathy, the sooner we know them, the more thought we can give them and the more time we can spend tracking them down.
Okay, well, I'll try to come to as many as I can.
Awesome.
Awesome. And our email addresses are all on the website, ellettsville-richlandinfo.org.
I have them.
All right.
Thank you.
Any more public comments?
Yep.
A quick question for Mike. I think I just need clarification more than anything, but you're talking about the stormwater. Now, we pay that on our tax receipts, property tax receipts, twice a year. We don't pay that again on our water bill, do we?
No, if you're in the.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you're in the county, we're not billing you right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I mean.
Okay. I figured so, but.
We try to pay attention, but the individuals really pay attention. So if it ever happens, we know about it immediately.
But with reorganization, you
Well,
get a bill and not have it on your property taxes.
Right, that would be a change.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the billing cycle.
Yeah, right. And the other thing, and you don't have to get into this, maybe I'll talk about this another time, but just real quick, while, you're talking about that work with airport for sewage. What water course would you discharge your fluid into down there?
Oh, it'd be pumped back to Ellettsville wastewater plant.
You would, you'd pump it?
Yes.
Okay, you got that capacity?
And I'll say this to you, but for everybody, I was planning on calling you and saying I could go into length about the overall plans that as it relates to reorganization and at Ellettsville in general. And so I think it's worth the conversation to hear our plans, for the future. So I'd be glad to come see you. I usually bring this great big map that's getting pretty ratty now because I've opened it up so much. And it gives you a real good 30,000 view of how all this relates. So be glad to come see you.
Thank you. Especially if you
Thank
get
you,
neighbors.
and, what's that?
Especially if you can get some of your neighbors at the same time.
Well, that's always a struggle. But, okay, you did answer my question as far as you know, the pumping.
Yeah,
As far as you know.
No, I know.
You don't.
It'll be, yeah, we already have a
Okay.
plan, cost, and route, everything.
Good answer. Thanks a lot. That's it.
Anybody else from the public? Nope. Anybody from the board? So next Wednesday at 6 o'clock?
Yep.
Yes, and there's a hard stop at 6:50 because we have the third and final
Hard stop
public
at-
hearing on the fire protection territory.
Okay, hard stop at 6:50. Ladies and gentlemen, that adjourns the meeting. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.